Okay, thanks for coming back to the Equalizer, starting off here near Istanbul, Turkey, or Turkey, as we now see Rob McCall disguised as an imam or a sheikh. And reads as usual, and this passenger gets up as Imam Rob McCall notices it as he makes his way to the alcohol car and asks for a drink.
Now you come back.
Yes. Looking for something?
As the bartender responds in Turkish that service is closed, translated by this guy. And just has a conversation with them and slowly spews out this guy's real plan, and he gets a little uncomfortable here since he mentioned anything is possible in Turkey. And leaves and alerts his three guys to take care of the Imam here and Imam Rob McCall here and back to the Matrix-like vision. And takes care of the three and sits down with the Turkish kidnapper and lets him reconsider. And back in Boston, Massachusetts, as the mother is now running inside to see here that the daughter is back, that the Turkish guy is kidnapped, retrieving here at this law firm. As a lawyer tells her that no one knows how her daughter came back, especially here. And Rob McCall is back, played by Denzel Washington as always, this time now working full-time as a taxi driver, or an Uber driver, or a Lyft driver, I don't know, since Uber was used a lot by now in 2018. And now picks up his first fare, Sam Rubenstein, played by Orson Bean.
Copy, center? Copy, center.
Yes. Lift off.
And gives him his fare fee. And just a normal drive by picking up his fares and taking them to their destinations, and hard not to listen to them while driving. And he's back at his new home and says Assalamu alaikum here to Fatima, and does some more reading and kisses wedding ring. So forwarding now to Brussels, Belgium, as we see this guy cooking up food and speaking in French to his wife. You know, like Jean-Claude Van Damme. And sees this. Tells him to open his mouth and kills him too. And back to Rob driving these kids around now from school and has now made it here to pick up his book order. And it's the same woman, the mother of the kidnapped child, and she brings out Rob's book and leaves. And yeah, he is a Lyft driver, not an Uber driver, not a taxi cab driver. And this passenger reading out his diary, and now this woman's now seated from this hotel crying. And he looks at her and sees her that she's been undone. And drives back to where she was picked up and makes up that her credit card declined on the Lyft app. And hands Rob the credit card and does a slow motion Matrix-like observance feature again.
Amy.
Who?
And now talks to the guy who did put the girl in the car. Her name's Amy, and he's crying after seeing his friends got beat up. And breaks his fingers and expects a 5-star rating on the Lyft app. And he heads back home to see someone is in his house, and it's Susan Plummer again, as they now have soup and talking about Brian's new published book. And now Rob talks about his wife, since his wife's birthday today. And they walk together now, and she grabs a cab. And the next morning, Rob sees Fatima's garden has been destroyed, and we now meet Miles Whitaker, played by Ashton Saunders, walking in.
You?
Yeah. What?
Nothing.
But I look handy.
And he doesn't want to pay Miles to wash the graffiti off the walls, and Miles is back and is willing to paint the walls for $250 bucks, but only after school as instructed by Rob McCall. Next scene, Susan's having an old school Skype meeting with two agency officials, CIA. Yeah, Skype was deleted last year actually, recently off everywhere. Pretty sad. And speak about the death of Mr. Calvert, who we saw get killed in Belgium along with his wife, since he was like Rob McCall, CIA. And her husband Brian is back up there as we now meet Dave York, played by Pedro Pascal, who's still in the meeting on Skype and has been trending way too much lately, especially in the last 2 years. And the next scene we see Rob hanging out with Sam again, showing his photo album, and it's time for him to be taken back. And now Washington DC, as Rob's coming back from Brian Plummer's book signing and hands Susan a picture of her to do some research on. And Miles hasn't begun painting the walls like he's supposed to after school. And back to Brussels, Belgium, as Susan and the CIA are at Calvert's apartment for the crime scene investigation with Dave York. And back with Rob hanging out with Sam, showing off his life pictures, and Susan as Susan has got an update on the picture that Rob gave her before and some information on it. And comes back Dave that there's nothing on Calbert on his phone as Susan goes back up to her hotel room. And it's those Belgium soccer players who are in the elevator with her and Dave. And they continue with that. Meanwhile, Rob sees Miles is done painting, sees Miles' drawing book, and tells his brother was killed from the back at the boxing gym. Rob now gets a call from Brian Plummer after reading his book. He gets all attentive with the serious theme playing of the Equalizer and just whips right away.
Got it.
He forgot his book as he now rides a plane back to Washington, D.C. and just sets here across where Susan's funeral is happening. And now sits with Brian that jewelry is found and Susan wore it. And Susan never wore any jewelry, not even a watch, and hands this little piece of jewelry specific to her. And he's back at home, looks at Susan's travel items and looks into her work phone and takes out the chip and puts it into his spy computer. And back in Belgium, we see these two having a loud session of music and answers the ringing cell phone. And it was this bearded guy who blew up the apartment and rides away with his accomplices, and those same guys that killed the Calbert CIA agent and his wife. And Rob continues to look at Susan's phone data and sees these hotel recorded videos, like the hotel footage, as well as Miles is back knocking to return Rob's book. Doesn't answer the door and is back to looking at Susan's death pictures and takes a good look at the elevator recording. So once again back in Washington, never-ending flights, and hugs Dave York. Never-ending flights between Washington, Boston, and Belgium. And the two do some catching up from the past, speak about Susan, and he tells Dave that Susan never pushed the elevator button of the floor where her room is located of the hotel. And he shows him some shooting paper as he shakes hands, and he's back in Boston watching Miles finish the paint job and sees he's still friends with the people he shouldn't be with. Back with Rob doing more research and even looks at Calbert's and his wife's murder pictures and recreates the actual murder to see if Calbert really did commit suicide. Since you don't remember, the shooter made it look like Calbert committed suicide, putting the gun in his hand after he shot him. And he does this by going back to Belgium. So Rob McCall figures out how Calbert and his wife were really killed and calls up Dave from CIA HQ, giving how Calbert and his wife were really killed in Belgium. Rushes back home and makes a lot of notes on how Susan was really killed and takes a good look at the painted wall and remembers Miles may be in trouble and rushes to the hood. And Miles is there with the homeboys getting high, and these are the same guys that killed his brother from the boxing gym, and tells him to shoot someone tonight for some money. And Uncle Rob is here to pick up Miles and go down as Miles pushes him away so that he can pursue his drawing passion. And killing people would help him pay the bills, so Rob makes Miles kill him first if that's what he wants. And he asks Rob why him, that he wants to help Miles out so much. And Rob is back at home making food. Someone is knocking on the door and it's Miles again, and gives him a glass of water.
Yes, you put some.
I'm not your mom's. And that's not your pot. And this is not your house.
And he offers to paint Rob's kitchen wall here for $115 and agrees as long as Miles reads his Ta-Nehisi Coates book here. And Rob McCall is back and driving Lyft for the day as he drops his passenger off to the airport and tells him it's his daughter's birthday. And he looks very suspicious. So planned passenger attack, as it's now nighttime, as Rob grabs the fingerprints of the killer and throws away the stuffed toy and thinks about how he's going to get rid of the dead body and just burns his car down. His Lyft vehicle. So meanwhile, this guy from this car is watching Dave York throw the trash away in Washington and yells for his wife to ask who's at the door. And it's Rob McCall again as Dave introduces to him to the whole York family and tells him he was almost killed from his Lyft fare. And Rob also says whoever has investigated the Brussels murder is being killed for it, like Susan Plummer. And he's found out something very alarming about a call made connected, which led to all this. The Brussels murder and Susan's killing I'd say the Brussels murderers and Susan killing, like those two other guys that were blasting music.
Tell me I'm wrong, Dave.
So yeah, it's Dave York over here who's done all that. Tells him why he killed Cal Bear and his wife, and even 3 months after Rob McCall left the CIA by killing these CIA agents. And company loyalty meant nothing to him, so that's why he kind of did it. And there's no such things as enemies anymore, according to him, just unfortunates that need to be killed for money, as Susan was one of those unfortunates. And the two go out to meet the very trio who have committed the Brussels murders, the Cal Bear couple and those two guys from the apartment, and would like a ride to the train station.
Cal Bear Company? Let's go!
See? Help End Company.
And Brian Plummer's on the phone right now, and here comes Dave York's guys, and it looks like they're about to kill him. And Rob McCall is already there to pick him up and take him somewhere else, and tells him the man who killed Susan is after him now, which is Dave York. So meanwhile, Miles tells Rob his place, painting the walls like he's supposed to, and we see Dave York again, and Miles tells him pizza is being delivered, which is really York's guys undercover, as Miles tells Rob to look out the window first. And Miles is scared now, as Rob tells him to move the book from the bookshelf and to push the button behind it so that opens up a secret room. And so far, nothing from the search. And Dave York, being CIA, isn't stupid and breathes on the mirror and is about to shoot it because he knows Miles is behind there, and gets a phone call instead from Rob. And we'll call him again where to meet up exactly with Dave York. And Dave knows exactly where Rob wants to meet up, which is called home. And Miles being too impatient to get out.
Hey, kid.
And Rob, posing as a police officer, wants to cross a rainy flood bridge to end up here. And Dave and his guys have also made it, and shoots the cop for telling him to go back. And he points out to Rob's wife's bakery, so this is Rob McCall's old home neighborhood. And so far, Dave's guys are playing hide and seek with Rob McCall. And Dave York is still up there waiting for Rob to show up, and Rob shooting the electric pole here and goes inside his wife's bakery, rips the flour bags and turns on the fans, which only leaves Dave York, and he's got Miles tied up, trapped inside the trunk as he shoots it to make sure the bullets break into the car. And the wind pushes Dave down and hits his head and just starts screaming. And now for the final fight between Rob McCall and Dave York. And kicks Dave's body down near the ocean and goes to open the trunk for Miles and treats his leg. And Miles wants to know who Rob McCall really is and gives him a tour of his old home. And Miles is back and tells him to sit down. Back in Boston, Miles drawing on the bus has caught the girl's attention, and Fatima seeing a new mural painted on the building wall. And Sam Rubenstein finally reuniting with his sister Magda that he had lost, as he told Rob McCall in the past scene. And finally, Rob McCall residing in his old neighborhood, and once again directed by Antoine Fuqua, and that is the Equalizer 2 from 2018. A nice movie as the first one. Speak to you in the next episode. Thanks for watching as usual. Like, comment, and subscribe. And be sure to share the video for all you Equalizer fans, and I'll speak to you next time. And see you later.